everyone. Welcome to my learning demonstration for Environmental Science 10H under Professor Flowers. And today I will be talking about a couple of California's ecoregions. And just to go over a quick table of contents, I'm going to be covering briefly what a biome and ecoregion is and the difference between them. And then we're just going to go quickly through each region: the Coast Ranges, north and south, the Cascades, the Klamath Mountains, Sierra Nevada, foothills, Central Valley, the Southern California mountains, a few of our basins and ranges, and then go over our sources. So to start, I want to discuss biomes and ecoregions. Both have different variables interacting each other within them, and both of them are extremely tied to the environment and things that are shared between them and within them. But a biome, as defined in our textbook, a biome is a large area of Earth's surface that shares climate and has similar vegetation. And biomes are more broad than ecoregions, and while ecoregions are more geographically specific, and they are listed in levels, as I'll show you on one of the next slides. An ecoregion is defined as areas where ecosystems and the type, quality, and quantity of environmental resources are generally similar. So ecoregions are just more honed in, more specific, mapped out, that kind of thing. And these are the maps that I pulled my data from. The right is from an organization, I forgot the name, unfortunately. And the left is the US governmental website that has all of them included. I primarily pulled from the left one just because it is official government resources and I wanted to be kind of detailed with it. So to start with the coast ranges, these regions typically have a maritime climate and cover the coast of northwestern California, and it includes wet evergreen forests. Douglas fir plantations are present on the landscape and, of course, are heavily managed for logging. And landslides and debris slides are pretty common. And they also include coastal headlands, high and low marine terraces, sand dunes, and beaches, as you can see on the picture. The Southern California coast includes coastal and alluvial plains, marine terraces, and some low hills in the coastal area of Southern California, and extends over 200 miles south into Baja California in Mexico. And before masses of people moved there and clearance for agriculture and stuff, there were many vegetation types, but they all sadly kind of declined. And I actually didn't know what an alluvial plain was before researching this, so I included a photo of what one looks like, and it's when the sediment kind of settles onto the land and makes it flatter. And the Cascades is a mountain region present in Northern California and is underlain by Cenozoic volcanoes, and some of the region has been affected by alpine glaciation, which are glaciers that are formed at high elevations and mountain ranges. And I've also included a photo at the bottom because, again, I wasn't sure what this looked like before researching this. And something interesting that I learned, actually, some peaks are higher than 14,000 feet. I think the highest is around 14,500. And I actually just didn't know that there were peaks that could get up that high in the region. And it has a moist, temperate climate and a large coniferous forest, which gets logged, of course. And some common trees are Jeffrey and Ponderosa pines. And the eastern Cascades, slopes, and foothills are in the rain shadow of the previously discussed Cascade Range. And I've included a photo on the right of what a rain shadow would look like from the air. And when an area is in the rain shadow of somewhere, that area is typically drier than the other side of the mountain range, for example. So one side is wet, and then the air cools, dries, and then the other side is typically way more dry than the other. It is a more continental climate than ecoregions to the west, with greater temperature extremes, less participation, and frequent fires. Volcanic cones, plateaus, and buttes are common in much of the region. And just a fun little fact that I found on the governmental website is that this provides habitat for migrating birds like geese, ducks, and sandhill cranes. So the Klamath Mountains are west of the Cascade Range, as you can see on the photo on the right. I just wanted to include kind of a map of where all these mountain ranges are because it can kind of get confusing. And it has a mix of granite, sedimentary, metamorphic, and extrusive rocks, which contrast with the younger volcanic rocks of the Cascades ecoregion to the east. And I included a picture of the different kinds of rock on the right, in Ward's Canyon of the Klamath River, which I think is really cool. And this ecoregion has a mild subhumid climate characterized by a lengthy summer drought, not new with California. And the region has very diverse flora, a mix of both Northern Californian and Pacific Northwestern conifers and hardwoods, and it has both endemic and relic species. And another ecoregion, the Sierra Nevada, which is home to multiple state parks. And the central and southern part of this region is largely composed of granite. And the vegetation, again, consists of mostly ponderosa and Douglas fir, and pines and Sierra juniper on the east, and firs and other conifers at higher locations. And the national parks, as you can see, include the Devil's Postpile, Kings Canyon, Sequoia, and the famous Yosemite. And the foothills and coastal mountains, this region has a Mediterranean climate of hot, dry summers and cool, moist winters. And the vegetative cover consists of mostly chaparral and oak woodlands. And chaparral is a vegetation that is adapted for fire, so it will grow back after like a bad fire and all that. And the region surrounds the lower and flatter Central California Valley. And this is a very popular spot for ranch land. Lots of livestock grazes here. And the Central Valley, well, this area is really famous for farming. They're very flat, intensively farmed plains with long, hot, and dry summers and mild winters. And about half of the valley area is farmland. And the two major rivers in this area are the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers, both of them at over 300 miles, with the Sacramento at 380 and San Joaquin at 366. And I included a photo on the right, just kind of detailing where these rivers are exactly, and they both flow out to the bay. And I also included some fun facts that I also found on the government website. Using fewer than 1% of U.S. farmland, the Central Valley supplies 8% of U.S. agricultural output by value and produces 1/4 of the nation's food, including 40% of the nation's fruits, nuts, and other table foods. And the predominant crop types are cereal grains, hay, cotton, tomatoes, vegetables, citrus, tree fruits, nuts, table grapes, and wine grapes. And more than 250 different crops are grown in the Central Valley with an estimated value of $17 billion per year. And I just think it's very interesting. We're almost so famous for growing almonds here, which are a very thirsty crop. I believe each almond takes about 1.1 gallons of water. And yeah, the Southern California mountains. They have a Mediterranean climate of hot, dry summers and moist, cool winters. And on the northern parts of the ecoregion, low evaporation, low annual temperatures, and slow snow melt allows for coniferous forest that blends into a desert montane habitats as it approaches the Mojave Basin and Range ecoregion boundary. And I included the map on the government website because I didn't have a great idea of where this was at first. And you can see the green parts, the 8A, B, and C. And severe erosion problems are here, and they're common where the vegetative cover has been removed by fire, overgrazing, or land clearing, and large parts of the region are national forest public land. And moving on to our basin and ranges, the central basin and range, I believe, is the purple-y parts that you see on the right here, with the green being the Sierra Nevada. And woodland, mountain brush, and scattered open forest are found in the high elevation mountains. In low elevation basins, slopes, and alluvial fans are either shrub and grass covered, shrub covered, or barren. And the land is actually mostly used for grazing animals, with some cropland irrigated in valleys near mountain water sources. And to the northern basin and range, this doesn't cover a lot of California, just the very northeastern tip. As you can see on the map here, it's closest to Nevada and Oregon. And it consists of dissected lava plains, rocky uplands, valleys, alluvial fans, and scattered mountain ranges. And overall, it's cooler and has more available moisture than the Central Basin and Range ecoregion. And again, most of this region is used as rangeland, which is land grazed by cows. And back down south to the Mojave and Sonoran Basin and Range, these two are very similar. They're very hot and arid. All of this peachy pink cover at the map is where it's located. And the Mojave is composed of broad basins and scattered mountains. And I actually didn't know this before this, but the heavy use of off-road vehicle and motorcycles has made the soil susceptible to wind and water erosion, which is another example of how tampering does affect the environment. And a lot of it is federally owned, and because it's so dry, arid, deserty, you can't really use it as a grazeland for livestock. And the Sonoran Basin Range is very similar. It is slightly hotter than the Mojave, and it consists of scattered low mountains, and it has large tracts of federally owned land, and most of which is used for military training. And that is about all. Here are my sources. And thank you so much for listening.